Hi everyone, I'm Catherine. I'm a singer, yodeler, and vocal coach. I'm originally from Bavaria in Germany, and I'm now based in Los Angeles, and I teach people around the world how to yodel, even people who've never yodeled before. I got into yodeling because one of our teachers in music college challenged us to learn to yodel, and I love a challenge, so I taught myself within a few days. And as I practiced it more, I got better and better, and now I'm here teaching you guys. So today in this video, I'll walk you through a full yodeling crash course from how to prepare your voice, what to work on in order to get a good yodel, and then actually getting to that yodel flip that really makes a yodel a yodel. Follow along, and with just a few simple steps, you can become a yodeler as well. All right, first things first, let's talk about your pitch and why it matters for a good yodel. When we're yodeling, we often skip from a lower note to a higher note. There's a big jump, and big jumps in singing can be more tricky than smaller jumps. So when we sing, we want to make sure that our ears are trained enough to recognize when we're on pitch and when we're singing the right notes versus when we're singing a note that is all the way off or slightly off. So the more you can train your pitch, the better it is for yodeling and really any kind of singing. And it really applies to yodeling as well, because yodeling is just a different singing style. So make sure that you have good pitch. There are different apps for practicing your pitch where your phone will listen to you and can tell you if you're on pitch. So you can look for those, or you can find a singing teacher as well that can help you with pitch accuracy. Generally, the better you know your voice and what it can do and how it feels in different places, the more easy it will be to get into yodeling. So any sort of experimenting, any sort of singing in different voices and different styles is always helpful when you learn a new singing technique, because you just know how to mold your voice better already. So keep that in mind. Even if you do something else that's not yodeling, the more you experiment with your voice, the easier it will make yodeling. Now, the next thing, head voice is key. You want your head voice to be strong, focused, and punchy so that it really projects well. Because when we have a softer head voice, our yodels just kind of get a little softer as well, and they won't have that nice punchy sound. So the stronger your head voice is, the more your yodel flips will come out. If you don't know what head voice is, I recommend for you to look up some other videos on how you can practice your head voice. Head voice is called head voice because we feel it up here compared to our chest voice that we feel more down here. And what I mean by feeling it, there's more vibrations. When we use our chest voice, like for most people when they talk, we're using our chest voice. And then for the higher notes in singing, or like classical singing, there is a lot of head voice action going on. And to demonstrate what the difference sounds like, for example, chest voice, head voice, so you might be able to hear the difference if you try those two notes as well with and e. You might feel a difference in how and where you feel your voice. So it should vibrate up here more. If you have no idea about chest voice and head voice and you've never practiced that, then definitely just get a good grip on like the difference between those. You can also practice it talking. Practice talking in like a heavier, full-bodied voice so you really feel your chest voice. And then you can practice talking like Mickey Mouse a little bit. That's head voice also. It just sounds weird sometimes, I think, when people talk in head voice, because it's not the norm. Most people talk in their chest voice. So work on your head voice. The way to do this is to use head voice vowels, which the easiest ones in head voice are E and U. And later, as we get into the yodels, you'll realize for the head voice parts, we always have those E's and U's on top and really not any other vowels. So use those and just exercise on that. You can make any kind of melody, go higher with it, so it's easier to really get into head voice. Even if you just do a 5-note up and down scale, or any sort of melody, any song that you know that's higher, you can just sing it on E. Let me take Happy Birthday as an example. And so on. So practice songs that are higher already in your head voice, just so you're practicing your head voice. The more you use your head voice, the stronger it should get, and that in turn will help you with yodeling. That being said, talking about chest voice, it is also important that you have a strong chest voice. And most of us already do, because we're using it a lot more than our head voice, but just make sure that it's strong and punchy as well. For both head voice and chest voice, to practice that punchiness and that strength in your voice without actually working harder, you can watch my video on the #1 singing skill that you need to yodel, which is twang. I'm gonna link it below, and there's gonna be a little button up here that you can click where you can watch that video to explain more about what twang is and how you can use it to make your voice stronger without working harder. So twang can be applied to both chest voice and head voice. For chest voice, most of the vowels that we would use, especially for yodeling, are es and os. The important thing here is, if you're an English speaker, that you don't blend your vowels. English vowels are A, E, I, O, U. So you're noticing it's A, E is a straightforward vowel, I is I, O, U. So if we're focusing on E and O, we're not saying A and O, we're just saying the first part of each of those. E, O, we stay there. E, O, it sounds almost like someone's hurting you, like it's a little bit painful. E, O, sounds a little compressed, but that's what makes your sound strong, and it gives you more strength also if you're going a little bit higher with your chest voice. So practice your chest voice as well if you feel like you could use more strength there, and you could do the same 5-note scale or use any song, but just sing it lower. E or O. The more you get a feeling for your chest voice and your head voice and how to mold it so it's stronger and punchier, the easier the yodels will be later. So even if you're already doing the yodels, you don't have to stick to one thing only and never do the other steps. You don't have to get perfect with any of these steps so that you can start a yodel, but it's always good to come back to these first steps to just make your yodels better over time. So head voice, chest voice, pitch, very important. Now here's the fun part, the yodel flip, and this is where the magic really starts, because now we're flipping from our chest voice to our head voice. And that might feel weird, it might feel like your voice is kind of escaping you. In normal singing, it often is the thing that we don't want to happen. It can feel like a voice crack, because we kind of call it the voice break, or maybe not the voice crack in yodeling, but it is a vocal break there. We're breaking from our chest voice to our head voice compared to smoothly connecting the two, which is what we usually want to do when we sing any other type of singing. Most other styles of singing want to smoothly connect, and we don't want to hear the difference between chest and head voice as strongly as we do in yodeling. In yodeling, we really want to bring out the difference, and we want to hear that glottal. What's happening is like a glottal attack in between the two. So a glottal attack is when we, for example, if you say I and you have in the beginning. So instead of saying I, where it's an open onset, we call it, we say I, and the that's the part that's happening also in the yodel. Don't think about it too hard, because I think as you're trying to think about doing that when you do the flip, it might get more complicated than easier, but it's good to know. So what you feel when you say I in the beginning is a little bit of what you feel at every yodel flip. Now, how do you do the yodel flip? I always recommend to start with one of two things. Try sliding your voice up on ah. You naturally should feel a break happen, but you have to go gradually. So don't go ah, ah. You might feel it as well, but it might be more obvious in the beginning if you try to slide. Ah. At some point, your voice kind of just does that jump and that break. It doesn't have to be clean. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's more about just feeling what that feels like. And You can do it on any note, but start on a low note, go to a higher note. And see if you feel it coming down also. It might be more obvious one way than the other. And once you feel that, we're gonna get into some specific yodel vowel pairs. But before we go there, the other way to find your voice break is to imitate something or someone that uses that vocal break or that vocal flip. For example, Tarzan. If you like to imitate things or people or characters, I would really recommend you try doing a few Tarzan yells. Whatever that sounds like for you, I don't know if that's exactly what Tarzan sounds like, but go for that. And if you have an easy time imitating that, then you're already yodeling. It's basically what Tarzan does. And Tarzan does it because it echoes so well. So, or that sound that some people make when they're annoyed or frustrated. Like that sound. So it's more like an open sound. But you're flipping back and forth from chest voice to head voice. That's what's happening there. So what you're trying to do in this step of the process is you're trying to get a good feeling for what that vocal flip or that vocal break feels like so that you can later do it more deliberately on specific notes. So experiment with that. If you haven't found that vocal flip, those are my tips to find that break. Once you found that break, now you can do a few more specific exercises on more specific intervals. A typical yodeling interval is a 6. If you don't know what intervals are or what a 6 is, it's basically just 2 notes that are 6 notes apart. So there are 4 other notes between them. And that's our interval. Most yodel flips happen from chest voice E to head voice E and from a chest voice O to a head voice U. So for example, E, O. If you play an instrument, you can play those 6 for you. Let's do a few together. I'm gonna go up in half steps. You will feel the yodel flip better and more in some areas than in others. It depends on your vocal range a little bit. If you find one that works for you, kind of just stick around there and practice on those notes a little bit more so that you can hone in and then you can expand your range a bit more. So the next one would be here. We do E, I, O, U, and just try to mainly focus on that flip. If the flip is easy, make sure that each of those notes is right on pitch. If that is easy, you then focus on strong chest voice, strong head voice to make it really come out. Sometimes we can't do all of those things together just yet, but that's what practice is for. So, E, O. You can also do it slower, whatever speed works for you. Sometimes faster is easier, but let's keep going with this speed. E, O. E, O. E, O. E, O. Let's do 2 more. E, O. E, O. So practice E's, O's. It doesn't have to be the specific interval while you're just practicing the flip. You can really do anything. Usually it's easier if you have a bigger interval, like a 5th or a 6th. And then what you want to do with that, you just put some yodeling syllables around that. In American country, most of the yodeling syllables are literally just yodelehi, yodelou. Sometimes it's hodelehi, hodelou, or yodelei, odelou, all of that, but it's very simple. So you could do the same thing we just did. Yodelei. So the first few notes are just da 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 ba, yodelei, yodelou. It's the same thing, just with the yodel word before the E's and the O's. That you can do easily. There are more different syllables in Austrian and Bavarian yodeling, as well as in Swiss yodeling, that can be a little more complicated, that I also go over in my yodel breakdown videos, where I break down different yodeling songs so you can learn the yodels step by step. Also check those out if you want to learn a song, which is actually what I want to talk about next, is after you practice those intervals and the yodel flips with just the vowels and then also with those syllables, yodelehi, yodelou, you might want to get into a song. Just start with an easy song. I have a few videos of easy yodel breakdowns that aren't too tricky that I would recommend you start with. It's Kufsteinlied, that's a Bavarian one by Franz Lang. Then there's Blue Yodel for Texas. It's a very easy starter yodel by Jimmy Rogers. And then there's Chime Bells, the chorus of that, sung by Jewel. I would start with one of those if you want to learn a yodeling song and then build from there. Or you can pick another song and use my other video where I explain how to break down a yodel song for yourself if there isn't a tutorial for it, because you can do that. You just have to slow down the song, be patient, write down the syllables as you hear them, and then get to the yodeling. But just to get started yodeling, this crash course and these steps that we went over today should be all you need. And if you need a little more help to get started, I have a free guide on how to teach yourself how to yodel. The link is below in the video description and you can get that for free today, so make sure to check that out. If you want more help, you can also book one-on-one lessons with me if you need the extra help, and if you just need some ears on what you're already doing, I'm very happy to help. So go ahead and check out the links in the video description and let me know how you liked this video, if you think it was helpful, if you still have some questions about yodeling or problems you ran into. It's always super helpful to know what you're struggling with, if you're struggling with something. That way I can make more videos that you guys find useful, and it helps me and it helps you guys. So thank you for commenting, thank you for liking the video, thank you for subscribing, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one, everyone. Bye bye.